across the Caesarea Valley, traveled toward west, and arrived at the Mediterranean seashore. We came to a beautiful harbor, Caesarea. Caesarea is an ancient city, now archaeological park, located on the Mediterranean Sea, 33 miles north of Joppa and 60 miles northwest of Jerusalem. It was constructed by Herod the Great between 22 and 10 BC and named to honor Caesar Augustus. Caesarea was one of the most splendid cities in Palestine and was the capital of Roman Empire in Palestine for over 500 years. Toward the end of the 1st century, Romans' mistreatment of Jews in Caesarea led to the first Jewish revolt in 66 to 70 AD. For many decades, Caesarea was also the site where the Romans tortured and executed Jews. Romans built many large buildings here. Roman Hippodrome was built as a place for horse and chariot racing. It has the capacity to sit 20,000 people. Promontory Palace, or the Palace on Seashore. Josephus called this a most significant palace that Herod the Great built on a high land jutting out into the waters of the Caesarea. The pool in the center was nearly Olympic in size and was filled with fresh water. A statue once stood in the center. In the New Testament, Paul may have been imprisoned on the grounds of this palace. The amphitheater. Roman amphitheater is an open theater that was built by Herod the Great to honor Emperor Tiberius and Pontius Pilate. The amphitheater has a capacity of 3,500 people. According to Josephus, this is where the death of Herod Agrippa occurred, as recounted in Acts chapter 12. The theater was covered with a skin covering, and the visitors probably brought cushions with them to soften the stone seats. Herod's Harbor. Herod built this artificial harbor. It was the chief seaport in Palestine. The harbor was built using materials that would allow the concrete to harden underwater. The 40-acre harbor could accommodate 300 ships, much larger than the modern harbor existing today.
And you can see why this would have challenged the people in other parts of the country. This Roman culture was so foreign to what folks believed in Jesus' time.
It is amazing how the building material were transported to this site. This includes tons and tons of heavy rocks and stones that were shipped to here.
From the Sinai Desert, where there's some granite, or from the far reaches of eastern Jordan, they have some granite. But around here, none. They had to import this, drag it overland or by sea, and bring it here. This is an incredible feat when you think of it.
The aqueduct. The lack of fresh water at Herod's new city required a lengthy aqueduct to bring water from springs at the base of Mount Carmel, nearly 10 miles away. In order for water to flow by the pull of gravity, the aqueduct was built on arches. The slope for each granite was carefully measured. Later Hadrians and Crusaders attached additional channels to Herod's aqueduct. Crusaders' Fortress, a fortress built by Crusaders. Caesarea is an important site in Christian history. It was the place where Pontius Pilate governed during the time of Jesus. Paul has visited Caesarea 3 times. After the third missionary trip, Paul was arrested in Jerusalem. Then he was escorted by soldiers from Jerusalem to Caesarea and kept in prison here for 2 years. Early Christian was strongly challenged by the traditional Jewish doctrines. Peter was baffled with his acceptance of Gentiles until he saw the vision at Cornelius' house.
It's a break in the early church, among other things. We hear that the church is divided between those in the school of James in Jerusalem are saying, you must become Jewish in order to be a Christian.
In the 4th century, Caesarea converted to Christianity, and it became a major center of the Christian in Roman Empire. The Crusaders captured Caesarea during their first crusade. The city reached its greatest extent in Byzantine times, when it was surrounded by a semicircular wall. It was then served by 2 aqueducts. In the late Byzantine period, Caesarea was the capital of the province of Palestine. It was the last Palestine city to fall to the Muslims in 640 AD.
Oh, 1. I don't know. We haven't been up there yet.
Yeah, we got more foot soldiers over there.
Guarding our city.
Caesarea, located as the midway along the Mediterranean coast between Israel's capital, Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and its main seaport, Haifa, is an archaeologist's dream and a sportsman's paradise. Today, a new underwater archaeological park has been opened for both amateur and professional divers. They came to see the remains of the 2,000 years of history with their snorkeling or professional diving equipment. The continuous excavations of the remains of buildings and artifacts that belonged to Roman, Byzantine, and Crusader periods. Caesarea is indeed a happy conjunction of history and beauty.